Right. All right, folks. Quick question. Good evening. Good evening. Can you hear me? Somebody can let me know if you can hear me in the comments. Right. I can hear myself. I'm guessing it's working. It's probably some mad delay as well, by the way, by the time you hear that. Ed Horse, how are you doing? And Philip Simons, how are you doing? Eiling, is that it? Eiling, that thumbnail. Yeah. It's a. When did I make that? I made that as a joke, and it kind of worked. Adi, how are you doing? How are you doing? Sounds good. Perfect. Awesome. So you can hear me. Coochie Curry is here as well. CPU. Hey, CPU. How are you doing? I should have announced it in the Discord server. I didn't. I just made a tweet about it. Shogo ASMR, how are you doing? And it sounds a bit echoey. Let me try something. Oh, did I? Should be better now. I was using the wrong mic. That was the webcam mic I was using. Oh yes. Okay, fair enough. CPU, thank you for the link in the Discord server. So I was going to wait till there's a few more people, but I think I can't remember. I think the last one of these I did was about 2 years ago, after me saying I would do them sort of regularly every 2 or 3 months, and then I think that was 2020, the last one, and something like that. And then I started streaming on Twitch a lot more, and yeah, things got out of control. So actually, most of the people I see here in the chat are folks from Twitch as well. But yeah, the idea for new people watching this is essentially it's just a very, very casual Q&A. So it's like if you have any questions or comments or anything like that, I literally go through the chat and answer pretty much every question until it dries up. That's what I did in the past, and usually it goes on for a short hour or long hour, but you never know with these. Cool, but the sound is working. Is it too loud, or could it be louder or not loud enough, or too loud, or whatever? But even stuff like Shogo ASMR talking about the Metroid song. I did a few Metroid. They were actually commissioned by a friend of mine for one of his video, and it was a video he got paid to do for Stone Age Gamer, and so he commissioned me to do 6 covers for it, and that was cool. Like I always wanted to do Metroid, but I was sort of lacking the and not incentive, but just the energy or the balls really to tackle something like Metroid, because they're tough tunes. They're really really quirky and odd and interesting, but they're tough tunes. So like a couple of them were just really, really tough to crack and to get a sound, especially with those instruments. So, um, but I think it's Craig's Lair that I ended up doing as an extra because I like the sound I got on these so much. I was like, I'll do another one while I'm at it. Lost the run of myself. Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. Lost the run of myself. So I think I did 7. Like, yeah, it was the main theme, Craig's, Brainstar. Oh, I forgot. There was one from Metroid Prime, from Super Metroid, Metroid. Yeah, so yeah, there was 5. Was it 5 or 6? I can't remember. Or 6 or 7. A friend is good test. Yeah, yeah. Well, if it wasn't for him, it would have taken me it would have taken me much longer to actually tackle all of these. I probably would have done one and then kind of left the others, and then so it was just because it was a sort of big commission, and I did them in a row. It kind of had a sort of a consistent sound, so that's why I was like, yeah, I'll do Craig's Lair now, and just while I'm in that sound, because it's easier to do it like that than just go back and try to replicate that sound or get a cover that sounds drastically different. And it's kind of what I've done after that. Like, I seem to do them in batch from now on. So if I'm stuck on Castlevania, as I am at the moment, I'll do a bunch of Castlevania ones, like when I did them for the Game Boy versions. Like, I did them all in a row because I was sort of in that vibe. Philip Simmons. You like what I'm doing? Oh, with the DIY synth. Yeah, these guys. Yeah, that's been fun. That was a pandemic COVID project, really. I was sort of interested in those, but I just couldn't really afford. Like, I had a few synths before, but I couldn't really afford a modular setup. So I was like, I'll start researching and see if I can knock something, or just out of interest, really, just researching how it works. And yeah, it kind of, again, lost the run of myself. Just kept going until I had a few modules, but it's been cool. It's been a great learning curve, and it's kind of cool to make sound music on synth that I made really from scratch, like down to just the design and the components. And yeah, it's been very rewarding. I wouldn't recommend people get into it, even though I'm selling those. But it's a weird one, Eurorax. It takes a lot of modules before you can do anything properly fun with it. So that's why I wanted to make them like super cheap, mostly for myself, so I can actually make them cheap for myself, and then make them available for people. It's been great. And then I got the sponsorship with PCBWay out of that, so that was really cool. Hey, P Mouse is here. How's everyone doing? We're doing good. We're doing good. Let me just get this chat in order here. Iceling, don't mind. Where am I from? I'm originally from France. I was born and raised in France, and I moved to Ireland when I was 21, and I'm now 48. I'll be 40. Is it 48? Yeah, I'll be 48 in July. Hey, Fixato, how are you doing? Fixato is another fellow MSX fiend. What's my latest MSX purchase? Oh, R-Type. I got an R-Type cart recently. It was a local buy, actually. There was a guy selling an MSX and a bunch of carts, and they were all overpriced, really. Old Konami cards, but there was this IRM R-Type cart that was kind of half price, like compared to eBay prices. So I was like, okay, I gotta get that. Still not cheap. Like, there was like 70 quid or something. So, but MSX stuff is super expensive. But yeah, that was the last MSX purchase, and that was just a couple of weeks ago, to be honest. Shoga's asking, would I ever do a cover of Mega Man 2's opening theme? I did. I did the entire of Mega Man 2 OST. I have a big long video about it. Let me find it. But I did, and that includes the opening theme. It's called Banjo Man. There you go. Copy link. I'll put it in the chat here. We catch up with the chat. Ed Horse, why is there? I just had a. Why is that membership showing up? Is that something you can actually show? I don't know how the chats. I know there's like super chats and stuff like that, but it wasn't quite enabled when I used to stream on YouTube and before I moved to Twitch. Philip Simmons, who played with OPL3 chip. They're a lot of fun to program and create the sounds with. Well, yeah, OPL3. I have a few FM stuff here. I have a DX7 and DX21, and I have that. I think that's OPL2 to the 21, isn't it? It's that same IC that's in the MSX CX5M. I think it's 4-operator chip. Yeah, they're. I mean, FM is tricky to. It's tricky to master, but there's a couple of sounds I can get now. That those sort of outrunny sort of sound, like I'm confident enough now to program these on pretty much any standard FM engine. But they're FM is tricky. It's tricky, and then after a while, you tend to like revolve around those same sort of belly sound or plucky sound. It's hard to think of something else to do with it. It's quite possible. It's just once you're comfortable making a few sound, you tend to just make those. So it's tricky to just take yourself out of that like zone of just creating sort of belly plucky type of sounds. But it's fun. It's fun. Cardboard Bots, how are you doing? You love me. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Birthdays in July means all the fireworks going off for you. Yeah. I rarely celebrate my my birthday. Fiona, my wife, and I are kind of similar that way. We just we don't go to a restaurant or anything like that. We actually, for my birthday, she lets me. She doesn't need to let me, but she I usually tell her I just want to play video games and watch videos and have a drink and a smoke, and that's it. Yeah, that's usually how I celebrate my birthday. Inaccurate from work, Fixato, doing dishes in a hotel now. Wow, okay. Oh, that's your job. I thought you were doing dishes in a hotel now, like just now. That's your job. Should go to sleep not too long. I have some time left to kick back and relax with this. Fair enough. PMOS, you haven't been able to follow any streams lately, but busy with work and stuff. That's okay. I mean, I think like the when I started streaming the banjo radio. So for people who don't know, I stream the covers live. Well, live. No, it's replays, but it's the covers on that you have on YouTube. I stream those back to back on Twitch pretty much every morning. So I started that in 2020, just the beginning of the pandemic, and the idea was just to have something and chat with people while we were all stuck at home, and I haven't really stopped. So yeah, I'm still doing it. You'd Shogo, you'd did I build? The Mega Man 2. Yeah, I put the link just um a few comments above yours there. And it's literally like from the even the stage select and the I think the player or the whatever. Yeah, the boss select and that kind of stuff. Like everything is there. Every boss fight, every Dr. Wily theme. Yeah, everything is in there. Even the end theme as well. Um, oh, I can do that. Look at that. Cardboard bots. Thank you very much for isn't that one of those super chats or something like that? Isn't it? That looks so good. StreamYard is I'm using StreamYard here for the first time streaming. It's very, very handy. But thank you very much for the super chat. Stuff like that really helps the channel. Did you let me? Where was I? MSX fiends everywhere. Says yeah. Cardboard bots said, "What's your favorite type of banjo? Have you ever played the hairy banjo?" I didn't know that was a thing. That sounds disgusting, actually. But do you mean one of those like where the hair is still on the skin of the drum part of the banjo? I have a drum like that. It still has the hair to it. It's kind of weird because you forget sometimes, especially on drums, that it used to be leather skin from a dead animal. I have the Baron, that instrument you see there, the rim here, that black outline, that's goat hair. If that's what you mean. What's my favorite type of banjo? Well, the banjo I have is a tenor banjo, so it's tuned. When I started, it was a tenor banjo. It's still a tenor banjo, but it's this custom one with an extra string. But the tenor banjo is tuned in G, D, A, E, so like a mandolin or like a violin, which is an octave lower. And mine has an extra low string in C, so it's C, G, D, A, E. And so I can get the bass register or a lower register on the banjo. I don't really play. I don't have a 5-string bluegrass banjo. Not really interested in that. I don't. It wouldn't offer me much that I can't do. What I have though is a 6-string sort of guitar banjo that I've used only twice, I think. But with that, I could actually just do. I could actually detune one string to D, the E to D, and you sort of get something similar to a 5-string sound. I just wouldn't get that high pitched first string. But yeah, but bluegrass, it's hard to control in the context of a cover, like a multi-layer cover with loads of instruments. A 5-string banjo would be just too messy to try and control. So I'd have to tailor the cover entirely to that instrument, which is I'm trying to orchestrate things and not just do stuff on one instrument necessarily. So tenor banjo would be my answer. RC, a member can send one highlight message every month. Okay, I'm not sure what that means. IIRC, I don't use that anyway. Question. Cook Chicory has very formal question. How do you manage all these things and still get a proper sleep schedule? You're asking for a friend. Well, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'm up until 3 a.m. and it's not great. But lately, I've been just making a point of going to bed early, before 11, in the past month or so. So yeah, but I don't watch TV. That's a big one. I don't watch series or TV, and if I do, if I I don't unless I do. No, if I indulge in watching a series, it'll be doing something else. So I'd be probably doing soldering work or making PCB stuff or just even editing. an existing piece of music. I can't justify not doing anything or not being active. So that means as well I don't get to play a lot of video games at all these days. That said, I just finished I just finished Hogwarts Legacy. um, but yeah, I have, and I discovered this. Like I have that thing now, and it's kind of cool for like a quick hour of just casual playing. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's no TV really, and like gaming, it's a maximum of 3 hours a week. Like it's a maximum of 3 hours a week. Do you like the Bloodstained games? Many of the creators are from Castlevania. Yeah, I did play Bloodstains on the. I never finished it actually. I was on holidays, but I played it on the Switch. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. I think the Castle. I mean, I can see why people like it. I think it probably could do with like a novelty in the genre, Castlevania, and not just iteration on the same concept. I mean, there's a very like I'm going to take an example that I was involved in, but I mean, I think Monster Boy is probably one of the best Metroidvania I've played in many years. And after playing that and playing Castlevania, I was like, like it's cool, but it feels it felt like something I'd already played, if you know what I mean. It was still good. It was still good. But it didn't grip me enough to finish it, I think, is what I'm trying to say. Magma Mark II, yo. Hold on. Why is... Oh yeah, I can show it and hide it afterwards. Interesting. I didn't know that. It was some member chat. Ed Horse says, was some member chat you never used it before? Feels so lazy when you would. Jeez. Staying in to play video game with your boo sounds like the best kind of birthday. Oh, for the birthday, yeah, playing video game. Yeah. It is. We like it. That's what I like, and that's, she's okay with that. Like she especially, Fiona is. Oh, I hope she doesn't watch this. Fiona is quite older than me, so she doesn't quite care for her birthday. Yeah, and mentioning the number. So yeah, we certainly don't do our birthday. Usually we take the day off and we go to the beach for hers. That's it. And if there's a restaurant or something to celebrate, we do it like a week before, or I try to arrange it a week before, a week after, or something like that. Something not too obvious. Fixato, you missed the Movania emote parties on Twitch. we played at Castlevania done with cow sound, Castlevania on Twitch, and it's like an emote fest. You do miss the Friday evening stream sometimes. Yeah, I used to stream a lot more on Twitch. I just you know what? I actually don't like streaming music on Twitch. And I was thinking, because I do like having company when I do some music composition, but I was thinking of keeping Twitch for Banjo Radio, and maybe whenever I play a video game and I decide to stream it, which might be soon, because I want to play the DLC from Resident Evil Village. But I think I'll use the other music channel for streaming live, and including doing these instead of here. Let me put the link to that. But I think in the future, that's where and that channel is where I have all the replay of all these the Twitch streams. That's where usually I put like work in progress of compositions and synth work. Like it's anything musical except the Banjo Gaiali cover. So it's called No Banjo Gaiali. um, but I think if I do music streams, I'll stream them on that channel instead, and keep Twitch just for gaming and just for Banjo Radio. They say Shogo says they say you have to wash a hairy banjo with shampoo to keep it clean. Joanne Demos, how are you doing? Welcome. Are you a professional musician, or is it more like a hobby? I'm not. Well, it depends. Do you mean is it my only source of income? No, I have a 9 to 5 job that I do from this setup here, this computer. So I work from home, surrounded by all this, but it's not a musical job. It has nothing to do with music. So no, I'm not making a living off YouTube. Certainly not from Banjo Gaiali. I mean, it does bring an income, and it's too big to ignore, but it wouldn't be enough to make a living off. That's the but I mean, if I was in my 20s and I was at where I'm at now with the channels, so the Banjo Gaiali channel and the 8-Bit Man Shed and the shop from the 8-Bit Man Shed. So if I had that in my 20s, I would probably leave my job and do that full time and try to make it work, and work at it every day. But at 48, it would be too much of a risk and a gamble, really, to drop all that and just go solo. So no, it's not not my only source of income, but it's a good source of income. It's a good compliment, and it's fun, and I'm happy to keep it a hobby for now, anyway. Here, Big Gremlins, thanks for the tune. They almost always cause a smile and brighten up a work day. Cool. Thank you very much. It's always nice to hear. Always nice to hear. Leo, nobody from nowhere. How are you doing? So how do you tell if the cats are very small or far away? Oh my god, nobody's gonna get that joke except possibly Ed Horse. Philip Simmons says VR makes you sick. Well, the new VR stuff is, I mean, I used to get sick on the Oculus stuff. I never tried the previous version of VR, but the PSVR 2 is incredible. I used to get queasy, slightly queasy. After about 15 minutes, I could wear this for an hour, and I haven't had a single problem with it. It's quite amazing, and I've had friends who were uncomfortable as well, who would get seasick, you sort of with VR, and they don't with that. So it's quite impressive where the technology is now. Adi Various Strats says, what is your instrument that makes the most sound? The Uilleann pipes. So the Uilleann pipes is surprisingly quiet, really. You can only play it at max volume as well. Like, you can't play it a little bit quiet. It's at that constant volume. So it's it would be the Uilleann pipes. I would say the accordion is probably the loudest instrument. Acoustic instrument. I mean, I could, if I decided to molest the banjo, it would probably be louder. No, I think the accordion is probably the loudest. That's the one Fiona complains most about, anyway. Shogus, am I Slytherin, Gryffindor? Oh, in Hogwarts Legacy, I played as Slytherin. I don't know why. I think it was when I decided, I was like, oh, it'd be cool to try Slytherin. Be cool to try. So there you go. Yeah. Cook Chicory said, I don't watch series, movies, or play games much, but my sleep schedule is still a mess when trying to produce music. Yeah, it's a tough one. Like if I'm in composing mood as well, or if you're in the zone, you can't just stop. So if I'm editing something and if I'm, finally getting somewhere with a piece, it's like, yeah, you got to stay up until 2 o'clock, sometimes 3 o'clock, 3 a.m. Just working that, because otherwise you lose it. So it's not like you can summon inspiration. Like it's just you gotta be willing to do the work when it happens. So yeah. But I've been trying to work earlier, and just to give myself like a little time zone, so that I don't stay until ungodly hours, at least during the weekdays. Friday comes and it's free for all. Very often I'll have a few drinks and I'll go, oh yeah, I can do that. Like, and load up the DAW, and next thing it's 1:30 or 2 a.m. And I'm working on a piece. I think working on a composition is the toughest, because it's even more in your head, and it just drives you nuts. And especially if you're happy with it, you can just drop it and go to bed, because I won't sleep. You'll be thinking about it, you'll be hearing it in your sleep. Addy, maybe the big sheet of metal he uses for thunder noises. Oh yes, yeah, the metal sheet. Yeah, that's probably, yeah, in terms of actually, yeah, it's more the spectrum of frequencies that fills. Like it's everything. You got really, really low ends and really high ends. It's probably Mallow, my dog. Maybe you give up TV at a horse. Fair enough. High score break, Joe. How are you doing? So I'm reading the chat like message after message, so it might take a while until I get to yours. As your head, how are you doing? As your head, it's funny when two worlds sort of collide. So I I'm in those kind of synth groups and podcasts that I follow, and a couple of them kind of have free for all streams that I join sometimes. So so is are you a mod as well on ProSynth Network? I forget who's a mod on what. Everybody's a mod on everybody else's stream. But it's been a super cool and friendly environment, I have to say. But yeah, it's funny, those two worlds really don't kind of mix, the pure acoustic stuff that I do on this channel and the synth stuff that I do on the other channel. And I have a few synth covers on this channel, but it's only because they're strictly video game related. So yeah. Where was I? PMI, it does bring in income. Unfortunately, all spent on new arcade cabinets. That's where, that's where and I know some people weren't too happy with this on this channel, but that's where a PCBWay has been great for the 8-bit man shed. They've pretty much financed all the arcade stuff from now, like from the channel. Like I'm building this Amiga, and it's been entirely sort of financed by the sponsorship. So it's been a godsend, because I don't know, like the arcade channel costs a lot of money to run, like to get all these and get the parts and all that. So it's sometimes hard to justify the cost of getting a new machine for the sake of restoring it. And yeah, so PCBU has been great, and finding projects like that don't take much space, and that's really really handy. So hopefully they'll stay for a bit longer. The chat is probably distracting from making music. No, that's why I'm doing it tonight. I was like, because I actually I finished the cover for next week. It's another Castlevania, and I am happy where I am with the next cover. It's another Castlevania. And then after that, I need to prepare because I'll be away in June. I'll be on the holidays, 3 weeks in June. So I want to have covers ready to go for that as well. So this month, I'm really scrambling to make like 4 covers, 2 for this month and 2 for next month, and maybe a couple of modular stuff as well. Because I have a few new modules that I wanted to show. So they're already available on the shop. It's just I haven't done a video to present them. It's kind of simple stuff. It's just a simple mixer and a I'm blanking out. A multiple. So hopefully I'll have those done as well. So it's this month I'm really scrambling to get stuff finished. But tonight I was like, you know what? I'm taking the night off. I'm taking the night off, and I can either play a game or just do this. And I thought it'd be cooler to do this. CWD, bonjour, bonsoir. Daphmar, how are you doing? Absolutely. How are you doing? You can relate to the fidgeting around with the nail clipper. Yeah, that thing. I broke it, actually. It's in 2 parts now. I'm trying to put it back together. Actually, stop. Is my music available on vinyl? You're asking for a hipster friend. No, it's not. All these covers would be too hard to license for physical copy. So the way this works is I need to, in order to, it's kind of a free for all on YouTube, and you're always taking a gamble by doing those covers. Sometimes they get copyright claimed, and rightly so, because it's whoever owns the rights property, and that's fine. So when that happens, the copyright owner shares the revenue with the video maker. So it's a revenue split. They get whatever percentage, I get whatever percentage. I'm assuming half and half. I don't have the numbers for that, and that's fine, and I'm absolutely okay with that. And it's great that YouTube has a claim system for rights owner. I think it's a great thing. Like, a lot of YouTubers complain about it, but I think I prefer if all my my covers were somewhat claimed by the rights owner. It would facilitate a lot of stuff. So then I can put them on places like Spotify, iTunes, and all that, and I use somebody who does the licensing for me, Sounddrop. So that's great, and it's a very minimal fee, and they sort out the licensing right. So again, it's a split revenue there. But when you do a physical copy, you have to have an extra license for that physical copy, and that costs a lot of money per track. So it would be completely cost prohibitive. So when somebody does that, so when a YouTuber does that, either they're losing money or they haven't done the licensing on it. It's that simple. Now I could do that for compositions, my own compositions. That wouldn't be a problem. But for covers, it would be completely cost prohibitive. And also, I've big issues with vinyl in general. They're very, very, very toxic things. So I don't. I don't want to add more material. Download is fine. There's always time for a Father Ted reference. Will you make a cover of any of the songs you liked in Hogwarts Legacy? The OST is really cool, but it's Harry Potter, really. And again, that would get not just claimed, that would get demonetized right away. Anything John Williams, that would just get completely demonetized. And risk something else, So I don't know. No. The thing about the channel is I do try to keep it to stuff that's 8, 16 bits. So that's not already recognizable instruments. So that way, there's much more freedom in doing whatever you want. Like if you do a Castlevania cover using a banjo, an accordion, a bouzouki, and a cello, you've complete freedom to do whatever you want with it and adapt it whichever way. If you do a piece that's already orchestrated and using actual instruments, I don't quite see the point of doing that. It's like when people ask me to do the banjo kazooie covers because it's already banjo, and I'm like, it's already banjo. Why would I do a banjo cover of a banjo tune? Like, it doesn't make sense, at least in my head. So no, is the short answer. Hey Joe, you all, how are you doing? Are you driving at the moment? Are you on your way somewhere or from somewhere? As you head, no, you're not a mod somewhere. Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. But you're still very welcome here. I thought Kent would be streaming tonight. It used to be on Thursday, isn't it? It's on. He seems to have done. No, there wasn't one last week either. I think he just does them whenever he wants. How is Simon? You hope he's okay. Simon is. Where's Simon? Oh, Simon is right over there. He's absolutely fine. He's absolutely fine. Shogu is saying, sorry, I lost the chat for a minute. Shogu saying, you love all the lights in the studio. The one on the right here looks like a Christmas tree. I think it is exactly a Christmas lights. I think it is exactly that. Yeah, that's where I got them. Daphmar says, never be upset with Castlevania arrangements. Love them all. I think I've done more Castlevania stuff than any other series. Let me think. I've done a lot of Mario stuff because excuse me. I've done a lot of Mario stuff for Norm, the gaming historian. He commissioned a lot of these Mario covers for his documentary. So I haven't counted, but have I done more Mario stuff than Castlevania? I've put them in the playlist. If someone can be bothered counting at some point, I can't. It'd be interesting to know. But I think I've done. I've done a full album of the first Castlevania. I've done 9 from the Game Boy series. I've done a good few from Castlevania 2 and 3. A couple more from 2 and 3 coming. And I want to do more yet. It is probably my favorite series when it comes to music. But they're so tricky. They're really, really tough tunes to execute. They're really tricky tunes because they're not banjo friendly. Put it this way, like the scales they use, they're always awkward. It's always sort of sharp, top of the neck, but without any open strings type of scale. It's a nightmare to play on a banjo, or a mandolin, or a flute. But they're still fun pieces to arrange. No, they're a nightmare to arrange. What am I saying? They're there's nothing easy about them, about any of them. But yeah, for some reason I still love doing them. I think the message, CPU made a little remake. It wasn't a little. It was called an impressive remake of Maniac Mansion, and I think you stopped. You're not doing it anymore. But there was a character in my likeness in it, and I think somebody was asked that character to what is it, to go surfing and stop making Castlevania covers, something like that. That's quite funny. It wasn't that. It wasn't that. If you watch the Maniac Mansion cover I did, it was for CPU, who's there in the chat, and you can see that I think near the end. At horse house, Fiona, and how's Doggo? So Fiona is out tonight. It's partly why I decided to take the night off, and she's seeing friends. She might call me to go and pick her up any time. So if I have to leave, you know why. No, I'm not seeing a message. And yeah, Mallow is fast asleep at the moment. Should I call her? I could call her. She usually, there's a bed here. She likes staying here as well. Phone is crapping out. You have to leave. All right, Philip. Have a good night. Have a good night. Shogo SMR Phillips. Okay, yeah, I'm just reading. Joey Wall, you're stuck in traffic jam. Sorry to hear that. It's not your life, though. I mean, I would find that incredibly tough to be in traffic all the time. As your heads, you're not a mud or a rocker either. Fair enough. Fair enough. Oh, Ed Horse, you like the Simon? Yeah, so it's cool using Simon for those sponsored videos. It's actually the only use I can find without being too cringy with it. I know Terrible Fire just, I think he wants the Banjo Gay Ollie channel to become just Simon. Just Simon. And no music. He'd be happy if I did that. High Score Breaker, glad to hear Simon is okay. He's always good help in the videos. Fixato, didn't I do a lot of Metroid stuff for Geeky? Yeah, I did. That's what we were saying earlier. It was a Chris Randazzo commissioned me to do those 5 or 6 covers for Metroid for a video he was doing for, was it Geekade? I don't think it was for Geekade. It was for the Stone Age Gamer, for their channel, I think. Could be wrong. But yeah, so that was an entire commission, and I'm glad he asked, and I'm glad I did. That was tough. They're tough tunes to actually the Metroid stuff is tough to cover as well. Daphmar, you love the oud. Your Palestinian learned small tunes and scale longer. Oh, fair enough. Neat tone. Yeah, I have this oud was actually sent to me by somebody on Patreon who is from he's in the Patreon thank at the end of the video. Where is he from? Oh, it'll come back to me. But yeah, he wanted to send me that, so and he did. And I'm ever grateful. And he sent me a darbuka with it as well. It was kind of crazy. But I like, it's a tough instrument to keep in tune, let alone play. Oh, have a good spot here. It's a tough instrument to keep in tune and let alone play. And yeah, I use it sporadically. I haven't used it recently. I'd love to do more Dune covers with it, actually. Oh yeah, I need to get back doing Dune. Correct. Disney asked not to publish it. Oh wow, did they explicitly contact you to stop working on it? That's crazy. Hey, Failed Muso, how are you doing? How are you doing, Robbie? And welcome. Thank you very much. I used to do those streams years and years ago, before the pandemic. I do them more regularly, and I haven't in the past 2 years on the channel. And I think I was just busy listening to your podcast and joining Ken's than doing my own. So Failed Muso here has a cool. Let me find the. A cool podcast called Pro Synth Network, and they were kind enough to invite me on it a couple of months ago at this stage. Let me find it. It's somewhere there anyway in the past live stream list. Let me share the link. There you go. And it's on Friday. Oh, you're not doing one. You're not doing one tomorrow though. You're at, what is it? Is it Super Boot? You're at? I forget. I forget which one is which. Jen Rose, how are you doing? How are you doing? Thanks for the feedback on the instrument wall hanger. The sale today almost. So you ordered 10. That's what I did. That's actually what I did one day. I ordered a bunch of them and used them for this wall here. I haven't had any issues with it. I haven't had any issues with it. But yeah, don't take my word necessarily for it. I can't see why it would stretch the neck or affect anything. I mean, there's a lot of tension in these instruments. They're going to move regardless. I think dryness and dampness condition will be much more of a factor than whether you're hanging them or propping them. Especially if you prop them, don't do that. If you prop them like against the wall and the neck staying on the wall, like that's a guaranteed way to put pressure on top of the neck. But hanging them, I can't see why it would do anything to the instrument. You're at Super Boot. That's it. Yeah. Oh, and the show is on tomorrow. Yeah. No, I know the show is on tomorrow. Is Kent doing it on his own or with the the usual gang? Retro Gaming Music. How are you doing? Good evening. What's my Shogo is asking? What's my all-time favorite Disney cartoon? I don't know. I can't even remember what I saw. I think the last one I saw was probably The Lion King, and that's like forever ago. I think my girlfriend at the time wanted to see it, so yeah. I don't. Yeah, I'm not into Disney, not in that sense. I have good memories of Disney stuff, but yeah, no, I wouldn't go. I don't go to the cinema anyway. You love the Dune covers, retro gaming music. Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, Dune is another tough one to do for obvious reasons, because it was all FM synthesis and weird FM synthesis, and so getting those sounds, reproducing those sounds, can be really tough. I'd love to do more. I will do more at some point. It's just it's like the last one I did. It just has to click in my head, and then when it does, I'll get to it. But every now and then I can, if I'll be walking somewhere and I'd be thinking about it, how to do this. So I'd listen to the OST and different tune tracks in it, and just try to think of ways to reproduce those sounds with different instruments or tools. They're tricky covers to do. But yeah, we'll do more. We'll do more Dune at some point. Kipik saying hello to French speakers. Well, Sean Connery is not dead. He's just going to make YouTube videos. Okay. Daniel Portales, how are you doing? Thanks for joining. What's the cover you've put the most effort into or feel proudest of? Oh, that'd be the well, Dune is a good one. I mean, yeah, I think the Turrican covers for sure is because they were super long. They were, yeah. I've been wanting to do them forever, and at some point decided to do not the first ones I did, but the like the final fight, for example, that big long one that's like it's almost 10 minutes long, or 9 minutes long, or whatever. No, 7 minutes long. Sorry, still long. It's long, and that was tough to do. Like so many layers in that. Having said that, the Deadmau5 strobe cover was pretty wild to do. And that's probably the one I'm proudest of, because I actually learned a ton of skills and mastering skills and editing skills off that cover alone. Probably more so, and stuff that I've introduced in new covers, new work. I mean, that's true of every cover I've done, but the Dead Mouse one, because it was so different from what I normally do, it was just really interesting to work on. But it was a tough one. It took me years. That one took me years. Partly because I had a vision for it, and when I started, I thought I would just start it and wait until I get the right instrument to do certain part, stuff like the cello, stuff like the big metal sheet, things like that, that I had to first find or source or learn how to play, the concertina. So all that kind of stuff, it just took time to get the instruments, to learn them, find a way to bring them in. So it was just a lot of patience and then a lot of editing, a ton of editing. Jen is asking, you're pretty good. You've been working on your music room and trying to figure out the best way to make use of the space. Yeah, hanging stuff up makes the room, it gives you more available space. Like, this is my everything room here. Like, so I've this 3 screens here where I work from. I have a keyboard here. I have, let me, I have my mixer here. So I have 3 screens here, my main keyboard, mouse. This is also the PlayStation is behind there. I have a few Korg Volkas and a few Roland stuff. I have my Eurorack set up then behind that. And then I have a little repair kind of corner for repairing PCBs and whatever. It's just like soldering station and things like that. And then that's my work over there. Shelves everywhere as far as the ceiling, because I have a whole collection of then instruments and just percussion bits and things that make noise that I use regularly over this wall here. And I have drawers here full of just other things to make noise with. So everything is super compact in this room. Everything is super compact. Oh my God, Dafmar, thank you very much. Became a member. Thank you very much. And that neat. I like this Streamyard stuff. Much appreciated. Thanks for the support. Keep it, quite a pity I don't speak English enough to understand. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I have to. I mean, I could speak French, but we'll have a limited audience. It's easier for everybody if I stick to English. Désolé. Dune has good samples on the Amiga. Yeah. Well, on the Amiga, obviously they had to use samples. I didn't play the Amiga, the Dune on the Amiga first. Actually, I played it on my dad's PC at the time, and that had I don't think it had the Roland. It just had the whatever Sound Blaster thing. It sounded fantastic anyway. Amiga is the best computer ever. Totally impartial, absolutely impartial. Yeah, I love the Amiga. It was a great computer. Fix actually any cover you're personally satisfied with, but think has underperformed on YouTube. I don't. I'll be honest, and I mean this when I say this. I don't necessarily think of. I don't think of views when I make a cover. I really don't. At this stage of, I've had a lot of disappointments with thinking of how well the cover would be perceived and how well it could do, and it doesn't. So I think that was the first year I was doing this, and then afterwards I was like, I just haven't. So I don't really have expectations when I make a cover. I think the only time I would get disappointed is if I really like the original tune and I would love people to hear it as well. How be it through the cover, but yeah, no, I can't think of one. at this stage, even if I get if I get 1,000 views on a cover, look, it's 1,000 people that enjoyed it. That's a lot of people, and it would be probably my worst cover ever, but it's still a lot of people that enjoy it. So, and I've just broken that kind of nail thing again. So no, I'm really trying hard to think of something, but I don't think so. I don't think so. CPU. Oh, Fixato. Sorry. Keep it. Oh, yeah, Hybris, yeah, has a lot of really, really nice tunes. I did think about doing a Hybris cover. The that intro tune, it would be tricky, but it's still in the back of my mind. Maybe one day I'll do a Hybris cover. Great tune. Hey, Parallax, how are you doing? How are you doing? I mean, Parallax is a fellow podcaster from the La Case Retro podcast. We've released a few new, I think two. I think Enfalmi has released a couple now. New episodes. We started recording, and that's in French. So, La Case Retro. I'll put the link somewhere again. Let me dig it. Where is it? There it is. Copy link. No, not that. Let me. Come on. There you go. Here's the link to La Case Retro. So there's one on Guitar Hero and one on sort of educational edutainment games that we did. So these are the two new podcasts that we just released them. Yeah, that's all in French. So if you speak French, you'll understand. Do you have a favorite small MIDI controller keyboard? So I use this guy, the Juno DI, and the reason I use that, it's not a great keyboard. It's halfway to it doesn't have aftertouch, but it has so many sounds in that. Just a variety. I think it's mostly samples, but it has such a variety of sound. It's very handy for mocking up an idea really quick and see if it works before recording it with either an actual synth or an actual instrument or something like that. So that's really handy. If I have, at the moment, I'm playing a lot with this the Seaboard Rise, and it's one of those sort of flexible membrane keyboard, and it's incredibly expressive, and it will make the shittiest VST or sample library sound like a real instrument. It really is crazy, because you can slide between notes. You can do an incredible amount of stuff with it. Very, very expressive. It's kind of tricky to master if you want to play chords with it, because sometimes your fingers can slide. So it is possible. It just takes a bit of relearning. But if you want to playing kind of melodic stuff, slower stuff, it's incredible. So yeah, I mean, I'm using that a lot. Control, I have the key step here, and I've something that I'm taking to France and leaving there. Just a standard whatever Novation controller. Yeah, I don't use a ton of controllers. Just really the Juno DI for mocking stuff up, and the Seaboard here. Oh, excuse me. You love Kevin Burnham. How are you doing? Welcome. You love this the Belmont's Revenge covers. Any more Castlevania covers you want to do? Yes, there's a new one coming on Wednesday. And I just recently redid the Silence of Daylight from Castlevania 2. So I have another Castlevania to cover on Wednesday, and after that I have another Castlevania 3 cover, and maybe another one after. So yeah, I've more. I'm in a Castlevania mood at the moment, so I'd have more. Do I still use a real Amiga to make music? Even just some little, not to make music. I have, so behind here, behind under this screen, this black screen here, is an Amiga 1200 that I use sometimes just to play demos or to play a few modules just to have in the background. So I don't really use it to make music. I use Pro Tracker, but it's just easier to use Pro Tracker on the PC here because I can, the file management system is better. I can make my own samples there. Just everything about it is easier. So I still use Pro Tracker sometimes. And I do that from this computer, but it saves in Amiga format. So you can take something from Pro Tracker here, put that on the whatever USB stick, put that in the GoTech on your Amiga, and then and play it on your Amiga. Right now, I'm building, another Amiga 1200 from scratch. So yeah, I still play with the Amiga, but I don't. I wouldn't use it to make productive music. There's Polly Alex Bow, who's another guy from that synth world I was talking about, uses the Amiga to make music. Yeah, quite well as well. But it's not just the Amiga. It's the Amiga and other stuff around it. And very often, I mean, when it comes to mixing, mastering, and all that kind of stuff, it's just easier to do it from a PC. A healthy approach, Fixato says it's a healthy approach when it comes to making YouTube content. Trying to not worrying about the views. Yeah, I think so. I'm in very lucky position though that the channel is big enough to bring some revenue. I have a Patreon, there's YouTube memberships. I've at the moment sponsors. And I have an Etsy shop where I sell my synth cards. So it's just there's a revenue coming from my efforts in general on YouTube. So it's a very lucky position to be in, that I feel I don't need to worry about views necessarily. YouTube doesn't bring any money really when all things considered. Like the banjo guy, the revenue from YouTube, just YouTube, between both channels every month is probably between $90 and $110 monthly. So it's nothing. it's still better than $0, but it wouldn't be enough to obviously to do anything with. So if it wasn't for Patreon, if it wasn't for everything, the memberships, if it wasn't for everything else around the channel, for having stuff on Bandcamp, on Spotify, like all those avenues where people can support, YouTube wouldn't be, the views alone wouldn't be worth doing all these covers. So yeah, that's why I'm like, I put something out, and if it does views, it does views. But ultimately, you sort of make content for people on Patreon and people on who support on YouTube members. That's really who you're making the content for, because they're the ones actually actively supporting the channel. So it's just, it's a weird way to say it. Like I'm making it for myself, and I'm making it for everybody too. But it's who is making the channel live. That's really the bottom line. So views just isn't really a concern. It'd be nice to get more views, because more views would mean then more people potentially supporting the channel too, and but it's not the end goal at this stage. And also it's fun. It's why I don't want it to become a job as well. I'm still happy that it's a hobby, because you can sort of still do it for the love of it. Uh, where was I? Jen, is there something that you wanted to cover, but then when you start working out, change my mind? Okay, is there something I wanted to cover and change my mind because it was tough or annoying or um no, I think I have a pretty good idea when I listen to a tune of all the work that's going to be involved. So like if there's a MIDI already, obviously that's a lot of work, but sometimes MIDI isn't quite there. I often have to correct the MIDI anyway, retranscribe it myself, or either from scratch or correcting the what's there. No, usually when I hear a tune, I know already whether it's feasible or not. You know, I've done it for so long now. At this stage, I can. I've a good ear for what it is I can do, what it is I can get away with, um, what I can cheat around the edges, remove some parts, and replace them with something else. That kind of way. But so usually, just hearing the tune, I know whether I'll be able to do it or not, or whether I want to do it or not as well. Hey Letta, how are you doing? How are you doing? I'm reading all these comments sequentially, so it might take a while before I get to yours. Parallax, you really like the outrun covers. I've done a few. My goal is to make an album of extended outrun tunes on the synth first. So I have a good few now done on the synth. I am including the 3DS stuff. I want to do stuff from Turbo Outrun as well. Maybe Power Drift and Rad Racer, which was a very Outrun like type of game as well. Not a great game, but it had some cool tunes. Oh yeah, and there's a couple of tunes from the Mega Drive as well version. So I want to do a full album of just extended Outrun tunes done on those various synths at some point. And I think I've 4 done. I need to do the third Outrun one. 5 done. 5 done. P-Mouse, you're gone. Have a good night. Have a good night. Kipik, I think a real Amiga is still a good machine to make music, only for specific stuff, but an Amiga 1200 with a sound card like Delfina are still impressive today. Yeah, I mean, if I use tracker is what you use to make music on the Amiga, really. And there's stuff you can do more easily on a tracker, like arpeggios and stuff like that you can do on the DAW. Like, it's just it depends. It depends. It's still fun to play with a tracker, but it's more that as far as the end result is concerned, you could do stuff in the DAW and it would sound better in the DAW, because I've done that. But still making music with a tracker on the Amiga is still fun. It can be definitely fun. There's cool tunes still being done on an Amiga. There's a very vibrant and alive demo scene on the Amiga. It's a great machine. Daniel Portalis, is there any other VGG music channel that you think deserve more attention you'd like to recommend? I used to do a stream on Twitch that was just a listening party. So I would put a message on Twitter to all the VGM cover artists and ask them to send me a cover that they would be okay me listening to and playing live on Twitch. So we used to do that. I don't know. I've done about 10 of them at this stage. So yeah, there's plenty. There's loads of channels, loads of very, very good channels that have a fraction of the views and membership subscribers that I have, and should have far more than me. But yeah, it's just that's the cruel love of YouTube, isn't it? So yeah, no, I used to recommend and play those channels. Usually we'd do a session like it would last for about an hour and a half, and we'd play 10 different artists, and with their permission, and I would put the link to their channel, and yeah, that was a great one. I don't know why I stopped. I think people would send me their I think it just became not overwhelming, but some people would send me their cover in good faith, but then you'd get people who'd send me stuff they'd done like a few months ago or a few years ago, and then people would send me their like just like 10-minute long remixes, VST based remixes, and I was like, I felt bad having to say no to people, but even some like I'd even say like I've even said the rules and say, please make sure that you're playing on your video, like there's an actual video to your music, that is just, it's not just a static image. Like you want something to look at, especially if you're putting stuff on YouTube, you want some visual to accompany the music. So yeah, but people were I was still at the end, I was getting more like of these kind of static picture 10-minute long trance remix than actual videos of people playing music. So I sort of stopped. I was like, all right, yeah, it was becoming spam after a while. That was the problem. But yeah, like Sound Old, Mariachi Entertainment System, although he's not putting a lot of stuff. Stephen Morris, I can't quite think of everybody, but like there's just a ton of them, ton of the usual suspect. Ro Paniganti, Terra, yeah, there's a ton. I think we have Cook Chicory and Adi in the chat. They're musicians as well. Yeah, there's a ton of VGM artists. Kipik, you say you still listen to Hybrid sometimes in 2020. Yeah, I had it running, I think a week ago, just in the background. I was working on something. Leshe, would I be interested in making some Super Metroid? I did. I think 1 or 2 tracks from Super Metroid. Yeah. I would be, and I did. Retro gaming music. You've made a cover of Ibris. Okay, I'll have to check that out. I'll have to remember your name, and I'll go check that out. There you go. Fixato replied for me. Oh, you should have said more. Fair enough. Yeah. Yeah, I'll get it. Like, there's a ton of cool Metroid tunes. I'll get back to making more. Right now, I'm in a Castlevania mood. So the problem is, like, if I get into kind of moods. So if I'm on Castlevania, on a Castlevania segment at the moment, so I'd probably do 4 or 5 Castlevania tunes in a row, and then won't touch Castlevania for about a year, and then move to something else. And the danger is to stick to stuff that's just Nintendo, and it's easy to do because there's a lot of very good material on from Nintendo games. But I the stuff from the Amiga world I want to cover, stuff from the MSX OSTs I want to cover, the stuff from PC games I want to cover. So and Sega, Mega Drive, and Master System. I haven't done stuff from the Master System in ages. So, and even with, like, I'm sort of kind of known for doing stuff that's from other system than Nintendo. If you look at the channel, the vast majority of systems of covers that I've done are from Nintendo systems, and I never owned the NES or the Super NES at the time. I was a Sega Master System guy, and the Amiga. I was a PC or Amiga and MSX guy. So even by not having an affinity or nostalgia for these consoles and games, I still find myself doing a majority of covers from them. So they're kind of hard to avoid. I'll be fair. Like they're stellar, absolutely stellar systems and amazing OSTs. But I do try my hardest to cover stuff from other systems as much as I can. Um, is it enough to make a living, or do you do all this on the side of a more regular work? Oh, and no, yeah, no, I have a regular job. This even however good the money is from the channel, and I can't complain. Um, and like I said, if I was in my 20s with everything I have now, coming from the channels, I would probably leave my job and chance making a living of it. It'll be a struggle in the first few months or first year or two, but I think it would be quite possible. But now, no, I mean, I'm not going to risk my mortgage payments and my life for the sake of being able to say I make a living off music. I'm quite happy with the way things are. I have a job that I enjoy and I can do from here, and I can do everything else on top of that, and have fun making them without having to worry about putting food on the table. That's really important. So, yeah, definitely, and that would be my advice. I mean, I've seen so many. I think YouTube has lied to us, and not YouTube, but the model of dropping everything to follow your dreams is a terrible, terrible advice. And I've seen people break their teeth on that dream so many times. I've seen people losing everything because they were told to drop everything for follow their dreams. And I'm not here to crush your dreams. If you have a dream, follow it, but do not leave your job to follow it. In fact, I would say that my job um, actually forces me um, to think about my hobby even more, and makes me even more eager to do my hobby once my job is over. Um, yeah, I've seen painters, artists, musicians, uh, people who write, photographers just drop everything to try and follow their career and not make it. And 5 years later, they're back at an even shittier job that they had. They've lost all the prospect of progressing in the previous one, and sometimes they leave the hobby, and they live the thing that made them alive in the first place. It's a horrible, horrible advice. I've never actually seen one single person successfully leave their job and become a successful artist. It happens, of course, it happens, but usually when people who tell you that are the exception. And YouTube is sort of set up like that. Like we're seeing all these kind of very big YouTubers that have succeeded and that have left their job and make the big money, from YouTube. They are the exception. So don't ever think that YouTubers are rolling on money. Even people that have a few 100,000 subscribers, it's just a lot of them have kept their job, and they're right to. So yeah, the people with millions of subscribers and making a lot of money and living off that, they're the exception. And by exception, I mean they're one in a million. Where was I? I go on rants, by the way. Am I still working on music for a video game? No, I've done all the jobs. So I worked on 2 video games this year so far, maybe more, but one is I'm under NDA, so I can't say anything. One is it's for a video game. I can't say anything. I'm under NDA. It's not Monster Boy. It's not for a game atelier. It's for another big indie, not a big indie company working for a big publisher for a big license. I'm delighted to have worked on those, and I did some work for that. And another game I did music for is for a little indie rhythm game, and they wanted 2 compositions. So one I had done already, and they wanted to use that, and the other one was composed for them, and that's on my. Let me find the link, as we do on my No Banjo Guy Ollie channel, and that's where I put all my kind of work in progress and composition stuff. And it's this track here that I'm linking. By the way, if you wouldn't mind following that channel, if you have a click to spare, I would love to get it over 1,000 subscribers, because I want to live stream from that at some point. I think these type of live streams are okay, but I think they'd be better off on that channel. So I might do a few more on this channel, but in the future, they'll probably, especially the working on music, I'll probably do that from that channel. No Banjo Guy Ollie. Where was I? So yeah, parallax stuff. I mean, I was actually working on when we chatted the last time. I think in the like as retro meeting, I was working on that big license thing, and since then I had another offer. And so yeah, both jobs are finished, and yeah, I'm open to for open for more gigs. Kipix is when you listen to Miami Vice theme, you always think on the Amiga because of the drum breaks. Yeah, but the Amiga, it's funny, the Amiga back then, like you'd get those floppies full of samples, and you'd recognize samples from various series and various films, because a lot of them would be samples that are straight from whatever popular synthesizer was out at the time, whether it was the Core Game 1 or the DX7 or the Roland D50, and you'd find all those sounds in pop music and films at the time. So whenever you get a new floppy, sometimes it was like, oh, what cool sounds from which films or series does it have? Like sometimes you'd recognize something and it'd be like, oh, awesome, there's that drum from this, or it's that piano sound from that. Tio Wicks, hello from Italy. You just drank a Guinness. Good for you. Leslie, you're just as happy to hear the Castlevania covers. Fair enough. I'll do more Metroid for sure. Miguel, hi from Spain. You love the Wonder Boy covers. Thank you. Wonder Boy 3 was, yeah, I mean, it's no secret, it was one of my favorite OSTs. Yeah, and it was so cool to have them in Monster Boy. Fixati, you're subbed already. And Parallax, you're gone to bed. Fair enough. Have a good night, dude. T455, you sub, thank for the link. No worries. So yeah, that tune is gonna be in a rhythm game at some point. I have no more details than that. They showed me some assets, and they showed me some just visuals and kind of stuff. But I mean, it was a paid gig, and they were very nice, and yeah, it was all above board. So that was cool. But whenever I have something to share for that game, I can share it. The other one, it's whenever it's released or whenever they say it's okay to share stuff. So I think there's going to be some promo associated with it at some stage. So I don't know if they want to involve me with that. They say they might, but they might not. Whatever. That's all I can say. Any inch to start painting again? I paint when I'm on holidays. In fact, we're going on the holidays in June, and I'm bringing some painting stuff. But no, I haven't painted those sort of gaming scenes in ages, and yeah, no, I don't miss it. I have nowhere to put new paintings anyway, so maybe at some point I'll go back to painting. But it's just I have so much stuff. I wouldn't have time to paint. I just simply wouldn't have time to paint. And now I find a cool portable setup, excuse me, that I can bring on holidays to continue writing music on holidays. So it's just, yeah, that's even less time for painting when I'm abroad. Actually, that tune I just shared, the first, like, I think 15 seconds or something, was actually a draft that I composed on the holidays. And so when they were looking for sort of rhythm, energetic music for a boss fight, for that rhythm game, I sent them that draft, like the first 15 seconds, and then they were like, "Oh yeah, like can you make a tune out of that and continue making it?" So I was like, "Yeah, cool, no problem." So I mean, that's handy, and being able to not work on the covers, just clear those 3 weeks I'm abroad, and just I bring a laptop and a small MIDI controller, and just compose little 15-second drafts like that, or 30-second drafts. It's, yeah, very handy. And then it gives me a pool of available stuff that I can, like that, send to somebody who needs something. Casper, was I in any band back in the day? If so, can we hear any of this? Well, I played a lot of Irish music for about 30 years. I don't think any of it is online, no. Um, and then a couple of rock bands in college, but no, there's nothing, no recording that I have from that. I might have a few recordings that I did with Irish music. It's just easier sometimes to re-record them um, for the channel, because then I wouldn't have any visuals, like, or anything like that for YouTube. So I'll have to dig. I'm not sure what I have on my hard drive. But yeah, I'm not I'm not a fan of digging up old files like that. You might not be happy with what you find, but I'm sure I have some recordings of Irish music bands that I used to be a member of. Um, I think it's more fun to actually re-record those tunes, like I did, like the ones with ChatGPT. That was super fun to re-record. But it would have been kind of like that sort of music that we played, Irish music. And when I was in college, I was I wasn't good enough, really, guitar. It was like a college rock band, as bad as you'd expect. And I definitely don't have any recordings from that. And if I did, I would burn them right now. Anyway, um, as you had, you love the theme from Commando on the C64. It's covered a lot, but I think we just, yeah, I know the one you mean. Yeah, yeah. The C64 would be tricky. The problem with the C64 stuff, it used those arpeggiated chords that just they're sort of the DNA of the C64. So if you do a cover and you take that away, it's like, what are you left with? It's kind of hard. And the way very often the melody would play on the filter, again, like how do you reproduce that with acoustic instruments? And I'd have to find a way to do that. Maybe plug in the flute or the accordion on a wah pedal, and or something like that. But yeah, the CC, like, there's a ton of cool pieces on the C64, but they would require a lot of work, or a lot of thinking, like pre-thinking before you start recording stuff. Majority, how are you doing? So your parents gave me their banjo, but you don't know where to start. Beside YouTube tutorials and any beginner's advice, start. It's that simple. Um, Start with. Is it a Is it a 5-string banjo? If so, I don't play the 5-string banjo. I have a tenor banjo, which is tuned differently. But it's like with any instrument, just pick a tune you like, and learn that. Make it a simple tune, or pick a song you like, learn the chords from that, and you'll find loads of tutorials on YouTube for pretty much anything at this stage. So, explaining the finger techniques, and just practice. I mean, there's no substitution for practice. It's literally hours of work, and yeah, it's the only thing you can do. Just practice, play and play and play. You can watch all the tutorials you want at the end, but it's not a substitute for practicing. So yeah, pick a song you like, learn the chords, learn to sing it, or just learn the chords, or just learn the melody, or pick a video game music tune you like and learn to play it on that note by note, or maybe once you're a bit more confident, try to add a bass string or something like that. Start slow, start simple, and just have fun with it and practice. That's really all there is to it. Randall Flag, hi from France. Hello, France. Bonsoir. And folks, I think we are at the end of the chat here. How long have we been on for? An hour and a half. Not bad. Not bad for unplanned impromptu. So unless you have any questions, I think we'll leave it at that for this one. I promise I will try to do this more often, especially now that I think we can. YouTube treats it like a live video and not a normal video, so it doesn't tank your channel for views. So Char, thank you very much for the super chat. Let me just thank you so much for the support. It's probably not the advice you want, but it's the best advice I can give, is just practice and enjoy it, and enjoy the practice, enjoy the process of learning and making music, not so much the end result. Like, that's why I don't really worry about views or anything like that. Like, ultimately what I like is making the cover. Once it's done, well, that's it, it's done. Like, I don't rewatch it, or I don't spend time obsessing over a video that's underperforming or overperforming. It just it's like out of sight, out of mind. I've moved on to the next cover. So enjoy the process of making music and not the end result, and you'll be happy forever making music. Don't call it practice, call it playing. Exactly, yeah. But I think that's what I mean when I say enjoy. Enjoy the practice, enjoy the playing. Yeah, yeah. And enjoy the process of learning and making music before the end result. That's really important, because then you'll never be unhappy with what you're doing. I think that's a good one to leave it on, folks. Thank you very much for joining in. We'll do this again. I said that the last time. I said we'll do it again in 3 months or 2 months, and it was 2 years. Can you watch this again from the beginning? I'll tell you what, I will put it on this because that's what the channel is for. I will put it on the No Banjo Guy Ollie channel once it's available. I don't keep those lives here. I think there's a few lives from old Q&As, but normally I would put them on that channel. And I think in the future we might stream from there. So if you don't mind giving that a follow, and I'll do my best. I might do the next live chat from here, and maybe do a couple of music sessions on the other channel. We'll see. Anyway, folks, thank you very much for joining. Thanks everybody for the support, for the super chats, and for the questions, and thanks for the company on my day off. Have a good night, rest of your day, and talk to you soon. Oh yeah, and new cover next week. Bye bye.